Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 13. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 13. Om iti ekat sharam brahma vyaharan ma manusmaran yaprayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. Om iti eka sharam brahma vyaharan ma manusmaram yaprayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. Om iti eka sharam brahma vyaharan ma manushmaram yaprayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. Om iti aksha sharam brahma vyaharam ma manusmaram yaprayati tyajam deham sayati paramam gatim. Om, the combinations of letters Omkara. Iti, thus. Eka aksharam, supreme, indestructible. Brahma, absolute. Vyavaran, vibrating. Mam, me, Krishna. Anusmaram, remembering. Ya, anyone. Prayati, leaves. Tyajan, quitting. Deham, this body. Sahi, yati, achieves. Paramam, supreme. Gatim, destination. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Purport. It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are not different. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. It is clearly recommended in this age that if one quits his body at the end of his life, chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, he will reach the spiritual planets. Similarly, those who are devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan, whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti. The impersonalists also enter many innumerable planets in the spiritual sky. The personalists also enter many innumerable planets in the spiritual sky known as Vaikunthas. Om iti ekaksharam brahma vyaharam manusmaram yaprayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. So there are different levels of understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth. Basically, there are three levels: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadantis tat tattva vidas tattvam yagyanam avyayam brahmeti paramameti Bhagavan iti shabdyate. So the shabdyate, or the definition of the sound of God, is understood as Brahman, or the effulgence, the energy emanating from the body of Krishna. Paramatma, the localized super soul. In other words, this energy is coming from a localized person. It is not impersonal. And ultimately, Bhagavan, the full personality of Godhead with unlimited qualities and known as Lord Sri Krishna. So these are the three levels of understanding. And according to one's meditation, one enters into different levels of liberation if he leaves his body thinking of one of these three aspects of God. Krishna says that at the end of this body, antakale, at the end of time, or the time that this body is given you, 100 years or whatever, antakale chamameva smara muktva kalevaram. Muktva kalevaram means to leave this body. The great science of spiritual life is to be conscious of God at the moment of death. At the moment of death, it is determined what next body we will get. If we have not practiced meditating, thinking, and serving the Lord, if we have not understood our spiritual nature, if we come to the moment of death still absorbed in material necessities and material desires, we will remain and take another birth in a material world. But antakale, at that point of death, when it is decided, if we have practiced remembering the Supreme Lord, if we remember Brahman, then we go to the spiritual world in the effulgence called the Brahma Jyoti. Each universe, it is like a coconut, an egg. It is covered by different layers: earth, water, fire, earth, ether, and each layer is 10 times more bigger than the previous layer. So the 8 layers that covers the universe, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, these coverings keep the universe, keep the living entities within the universe from being able to experience or see what is outside the universe. To understand what is outside the universe, we require information which is coming from that position, from that liberated position, from that position outside the universe, which is full of light, and is called the Brahma Jyoti, or the spiritual effulgence. The representation of this Brahma Jyoti is the letter Om. Krishna says that of all sounds, he is Om. Sound is very important. It is just like a child. When he is hungry or when he needs something, he cries for his mother. Ma, mother. Mata. In all languages, it's the same. Madre, mama, mata. It is coming from the Sanskrit. Mata means mother. So when there is a material need from the child, he calls for his mother. And then the mother comes and takes care of his material need. But as the child grows, he can understand that there is more than a material need. There is a spiritual need also. We are made both of matter and spirit. In fact, we are spirit encased in a body made of matter. Yantra, this body is yantra. Krishna says, we are yantra rudani mayaya. This body is made of the material energy, and it is a machine. And we are caught in this machine. We can understand that we are not the body. When we understand that there is a spiritual dimension, then we're required to call out to that dimension. We don't call to mother, because mother can only satisfy our material needs. We call to the Supreme Father, Krishna, and that call is called Om. It begins with Om. Every Vedic mantra means that paradigm that brings us to the spiritual platform. Veda means knowledge. Real knowledge begins with the spirit. Material knowledge is secondary. Real knowledge is dealing with the spirit, and it is encased in the Vedas. And the Vedas, all the Vedic mantras are prefixed by Om. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Pashanti Suraha, that all the demigods see the Lord Vishnu. Om Tat Vishnu. Om is the key to call out when one wants to satisfy or inquire about his spiritual needs. Just like mother is what we call out when we require to be satisfied our material needs. When we call Om, that seed mantra Om contains the proper addressing to understand spiritual life. And spiritual life is beyond material life. Of course, we are living in a very materialistic society. We are living in a society where everything is to do with the body. For example, I am a Christian by birth, Catholic. So I have, for many years, I practiced Christianity, and I studied the Bible, I studied the Catechism, I studied the laws of the church, so I can speak with some authority. And basically, Christianity is offering you a system to take care of your body even beyond death. Their main focus is on family. Have a nice family. Enjoy family life. Enjoy family life. Don't disturb society. And when you die, your body is buried, and eventually it will rise again from the death when Jesus will come for the second time, and again you will join with your family. The whole thing is based on I, me, and mine. Other religions are the same. I cannot comment, but I hear also in Islam the conclusion that you go to heaven, you enjoy in the heavenly planets. The main idea of practicing religion is to satisfy my material needs. So, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These are the four subjects of materialistic religion. They are widely discussed in the Vedas, because the Vedas deals with the subjects beyond this. That even in the Vedas, it is recommended that you perform some activity, some artha, that you perform some dharma, some spiritual activity to get moksha. Still, beyond these four principles, there is the principle of understanding your eternal relationship with God. And the ultimate goal of life is to become free from the material conception, become free from belonging to a particular body and a particular family. In our society, they put great emphasis on the body. See, so many, if you go to Italy, for example, some years ago, I went back to my birthplace in northern Italy, and my family took me. Where did they take me? One of the places that took me, apart from the scenery where I was born and grew up, they took me to the cemetery to see my ancestors. And there were beautiful graves made of white marble with pictures of all the ancestors, my grandfather, great-grandfathers. So they believe very much in the body. I was watching a documentary that even to this day, more than 60 years ago, the Second World War took place. In Russia, they are still looking for bones and remnants of the soldiers who fought. And if they can identify those bones and they bring them back to the family, they are so happy. Oh, we have got back our grandfather who died in a war. No, you got back a piece of his body. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya. When this body becomes useless, like old clothes, you get a new one. Naro aparani, you get a new body. Tata sharirani vihaya jirnani. Similarly, when this body becomes old and useless, navani dehi, we take a new body. So the Vedic principle doesn't deal with the material body. The essence of the Vedas, the essence of knowledge, deals with the spiritual body, deals with detachment from matter. Therefore, it is not very popular. Even in India, the main popular shift of religion is to ask the demigods and God, is to ask for some material facility to continue our material life. Prabhupada gives an example of this poor lady, old lady. She was very poor. She was living in the outskirts of the village, and to maintain herself, she would go to the forest every day, and she would pick dry wood and fuel and put it in a cloth and put it on the head and bring it to the village and sell it. So she was walking through the forest with this heavy burden, and she slipped, and the burden fell down from her head. And she became so upset, and she prayed to it, oh, God, help me, God, help me. And God came. He said, yes, how can I help you? So she said, please help me put this burden back on my head. So this is what we are burdened by material life. We put all our energy in this temporary material life. We forget about the spirituality, and we ask God to keep us in illusion. But God is not a fool. He doesn't want to keep us in illusion. He wants to wake us up. Another example Prabhupada gave, a very nice example, tells the story of a sage, saintly person who came into an assembly. So different kinds of people, they ask for benedictions. That's another feature of materialistic religion, that people go to the saints, they go to the sadhus, they go to the saintly persons, not to give anything. They go to take something back. They go to get something. Just like now, see, it's very popular that in our society and in the society of Vaishnavas, many devotees, they look for a guru not to give, but to see what the guru can give them. And when the guru has trouble, they get reinitiated. Just see, the guru takes trouble to initiate somebody, to bring him close to Prabhupada, and then he has some problems and you kick him out. Just like you have a cow, when she stops giving milk, you send it to the slaughterhouse. What nonsense is this? Anyhow, different people went to the saintly person and they asked for benediction. The first person was a prince. So the saintly person says, "My dear prince, Chiranjiva, live forever." The second person was the son of a sage. And he said, "Muniputra, son of a sage, Majiva, don't live, die immediately." The third person was a devotee, Sadhava. Sadhava, Jiva va Marova. My dear sadhu, my dear devotee, live or die, it doesn't matter. And the fourth person was a hunter, a butcher. And he said to him, "Jivama Maroma, don't live, don't die." So what is the description? What is the meaning behind these different benedictions? The prince, he was enjoying life. He was the son of the king. He had unlimited facilities for enjoyment. But when he would die, he has to pay back all this enjoyment. All the people he used to enjoy have to be reimbursed for that enjoyment. All the things he took, which didn't belong to him, which belonged to God, he becomes responsible for. So therefore, even though in this life he's enjoying, in the next life he will suffer. Therefore, the saintly person said, "Chiranjiva, live forever," because when you die, all your nice enjoyment will come to an end. Then, Muniputra, Majiva, son of a sage, don't live, because the son of a sage is living in the forest, he's performing austerities, he's practicing yoga, he's practicing meditation, and if he dies, he will go to a very high position because of his austerities. Therefore, this saintly person says, "Majiva, don't live, die immediately." Then Sadhava, the devotee is serving Krishna, whether he's in the body or whether he's outside the body, whether in this life or next life. Lord Chaitanya said, "Nadanam najanam na sundarim." I don't want any money. I don't want any followers. I don't want a beautiful wife. Kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Kavitam also, I don't want to be known as an expert scholar. These are all kamaye, material desires. What do you want? Mama jammani jammanishware bhavatad bhaktir aituki tvai. Give me birth after birth, ahaituki bhakti. Pure devotional service, unmotivated, unalloyed devotional service at your lotus feet. Because when you have unalloyed devotional service to Krishna, you are happy in this body or in the next body. It doesn't matter. You can go to heaven or hell. As long as you remember Krishna, as long as Krishna is with you, you have the greatest treasure in your heart. Therefore, the saintly person said to the devotees, "You can live or die. It doesn't matter." And to the hunter, who kills animals, butcher, he said, "You are living in a ghastly situation now, killing animals, giving pain, cutting them, blood everywhere. And next life you will suffer so much in hell because of the pain that you're giving. So better you don't live, better you don't die." But the principle behind the story is the nature of the spirit. The principle behind the story is that life goes on after death. So it's just like another story Prabhupada told. These two friends were talking, and one friend was a little spiritually advanced. So he said to his friend, I see that you're drinking alcohol. By drinking, you will go to hell. So the friend said, well, my father also drinks. Well, your father will go to hell too. My brother also drinks. Your brother will go to hell too. So everybody he knew was drinking. So he said, well, if everybody goes to hell, hell is like heaven. Let me go there. So this is the promise of false religion. They dangle the carrot of sex life, that you can have sex life in this life with your family and you can carry on afterwards. You will get eternal sex life independently of God. But that is not the fact. So, therefore Krishna says, Tasmad sarveshu kaleshu, since the moment of death determines where you're going to go, since the moment of death means everything will finish that you have invested in this life. So tasmad, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times, mad anusmara yudhyacha, Madhya Arjuna, stop thinking on the bodily platform. Mad anusmara, remember me and fight. In other words, fight for my pleasure. Tasmad sarveshu kaleshu mad anusmara yudhyacha mam arpita manobuddhir, dedicate, offer your mind and your intelligence, mame vaishyasya samshaya, and therefore you will be guaranteed to be released from material life and go back home, back to God. This is the whole thrust of the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna was arguing that if he fought, he would have to kill his family members. If he fought, so many princes, warriors, and kings would be killed, and so many widows would be the result of that killing. And because women would not be protected by their dead husbands, then their children will also become contaminated, will not get proper education. They will become Varna Shankara. It will create problems in the world. So he gave all these different arguments. And what did Krishna say? I don't accept this argument. Asochan and Vasochastwan. You're lamenting for something which is not worthy of lamentation. Pragnavadam Sabhasa say, by speaking so nicely, just like we have so many political leaders, educational leaders, they speak so nicely, religious leaders, they speak so nicely on something which is not worth speaking nicely about, the body. The body is simply a temporary situation which will finish. So asochanam vasochastvam pragnavadam sabhasase gatasum agatasum chananu sochanti pandita. If you really want to speak with authority, if you want to speak like a pandit, if you want to speak like a guru, if you think you know the facts of life, then why are you lamenting for something which is not worth lamenting about? Why are you lamenting for something which comes and goes, which is temporary, which you cannot keep eternally, no matter how many sacrifices you make, no matter how much sweat you pour out, how much work you do, you cannot keep your family. You cannot keep your wife. You cannot keep your children. It will be finished. This is the problem of life. So wake up, practice reading the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada was the only person that I've ever met in my whole life who actually understood this. And he came and he brought this. He didn't come to take anything. He didn't come to take from us. He came to give. Acharya Guru means he gives. And disciple means he gives back. This is the process. Thank you very much. So we have our usual guest here. Thank you very much for joining us. Madhu Mangala Devi Dasi. My obeisances to all the devotees of Lord Hari. I think you're from Colombia. I think you said before. And you also said that Colombia is being neglected spiritually. But don't be concerned. Even if all of Colombia goes to hell, you don't go to hell. You practice Krishna consciousness. It's ultimately, no matter the organization, no matter the Sangha, it is really up to us. It's what we think at the moment of death that will determine where we go, not what other people think. It's what we've done that determines our consciousness. And then Atma Vidya is there, pacemaker, present, Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my obeisances. Rob Ealings, Hare Krishna. Mandy, Hare Krishna. Krishna Premavati, Hare Krishna. Premavati lives here in Amsterdam. Filippo, Ciao Prabhu, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Madhu Mangala. The layer called false ego you mentioned is the one related to our false identification with our body, of course. False ego means that I am, but instead of I am spirit, I am this body. So the ego is there, but it's false. It is illusion. Medellin, Colombia. Medellin is famous drug cartel. I've never visited Colombia. One day maybe I'll go. Rob Ealing, Raghava Pandit Das. Which Raghava Pandit? The associate of Lord Chaitanya? He was a very famous, very wonderful liberated soul. Krishna Premavati, thank you, Prabhu. So thank all of you for joining me. And again, we will see you on Friday. If you have any questions, you keep posting them and I will check them later in the evening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.